What do you see in this photo? What I see is the 2002 USC quarterback room. What I see are two national champions, one being quarterback Carson Palmer and the other being Matt Leinart. What I see in this photo is two future first-round picks, one who would be the face of a franchise and the other one who would attempt to be that face of the franchise. You may be wondering who the third person in this photo is. If it's not Leinart or Palmer, who is this mysterious man of mystery? We're going to look at the career of someone who threw just 33 passes at the college football level, and despite that, he was still drafted into the NFL. Our story starts on May 17, 1982, where Matthew Brendan Cassel was born. Being from the LA area, Matt Cassel would attend Chatsworth High School, and he would be a dual sports athlete. While attending Chatsworth, Cassel would become the team's starting first baseman, and he had pretty solid success for Chatsworth during his time there. On the football side of things, Cassel cemented himself as a top 10 quarterback prospect in the country. He would be one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the 2000 recruiting class, and he would declare for USC after an all-star season. Upon arriving at USC in 2001, Matt Cassel was expected to be the franchise successor to Carson Palmer. Things looked to be trending that direction after 2002. USC would win the national championship in Palmer's final season. However, that same year, quarterback Matt Leinart would make an appearance at USC, and Leinart would steal the starting job from Cassel. Matt Cassel actually spoke about this situation in an interview recently.
I felt like it was my time to go, and then to be told, look, we're going to go with Leinart to start, but if he falters at all, and he took off that first game like a rocket ship, and we go beat Auburn, and then I was like, man, what am I going to do? I went and switched over, played a little tight end that year, played on special teams, did all these different things just because I wanted to play and be a part of it.
After officially losing the quarterback battle to Matt Leinart, Matt Cassel was made the official backup quarterback for USC. By this point, he had thrown just 6 total career passes, completing 4 of them for 32 yards. Late in the 2003 season, against Arizona State, Matt Leinart would suffer a major injury, and it would force the team to turn to Matt Cassel as the team's starting quarterback for the part of the game. Despite his appearance being brief with him only throwing 10 pass attempts, Matt Cassel did alright. He would complete 40% of his passes, going 4 for 10 as the team's starting quarterback. He would throw for 42 yards, and he had a quarterback rating of 75.2. After a brief period of time, Leinart would return to the game, and he would eventually lead USC to an Orange Bowl victory later that year. Due to the lack of playing time, Matt Cassel considered switching away from football and pursuing a baseball career. Both of his brothers actually did have MLB experience, with one of them pitching in the MLB, the other one pitching in the minor leagues for the MLB. Around the same time that Matt began school at USC, his brother Jack had been drafted by the San Diego Padres in the 25th round of the MLB draft. And similar to his brother, the Oakland Athletics actually used the 36th round pick in the 2004 MLB draft on Cassel. Despite being offered a contract by the Oakland Athletics to play for them, Matt would turn down the contract and would return to USC for his senior year. Upon returning to USC to be the team's backup quarterback, Cassel would play sparingly as the team's backup quarterback. He would see snaps during blowout losses behind Matt Leinart, but he didn't see much as the team would win the national championship game in 2004. This same year, while Cassel was being the team's backup quarterback, his most important play came on special teams. In a game against UCLA, with them winning 29-24, Cassel recovered an onside kick for USC to seal a 29-24 victory. Despite only throwing 33 total combined passes over his 4-year career at USC, Matt Cassel still decided to throw out the USC Pro Day in an attempt to try and get drafted into the NFL. This was convinced by former USC quarterback Paul McDonald. In the conversation with Cassel before the 2005 Pro Day, McDonald essentially told Cassel, "You should give it a shot and you can never go back." And taking McDonald's advice, Cassel did not go back. At the USC Pro Day, he had one of the best performances out of anyone at the current show in 2005, and a bunch of teams began to show interest in Cassel. These teams include the New England Patriots and, of course, the Tennessee Titans. With a lot of expectations that Matt Cassel would go undrafted, late in the 7th round, a surprise name was heard as the New England Patriots used their 7th round pick in the 2005 NFL Draft on Matt Cassel. Upon being drafted in 2005, Matt Cassel had an uphill battle to even earn a roster spot on the Patriots that year. He was competing with former 4th round pick Rohan Davey, who had come out of LSU. When comparing the two, you will see immediately that Rohan Davey was almost immediately the better college football quarterback compared to Cassel. By the end of the 2005 preseason, the Patriots would move on from Rohan Davey. He would be cut in exchange for Matt Cassel, with Cassel remaining as the Patriots' 3rd-string quarterback going into the 2005 season. Despite being behind the greatest quarterback of all time and a former Pro Bowl quarterback from the Buffalo Bills, Matt Cassel did actually see some NFL action during his rookie year. In the game against the San Diego Chargers, with the Patriots losing in a blowout fashion, Cassel would make his debut. He would go 2 for 4, throwing for 17 yards and an interception, But later in the year, he would make another NFL appearance. He would throw for 2 touchdowns to 1 interception in a game against the Miami Dolphins. The Patriots had already locked up a playoff spot, and they wanted to see what they had in Cassel. Cassel's performance against the Dolphins cemented himself as the Patriots' primary backup quarterback for the next few years. Cassel would see sparing appearances over the next few seasons between 2006 and 2007. He would be a part of the Patriots' 16-0 team. Little did Cassel know, his luck in his NFL career would be altered forever.
There, he's going to step into it, and right there, his left leg gets flexed. That's Bernard Pollard, the blitzer, who falls into the left knee of Tom Brady. You can see it flex. Right there, you can see how it flexes and then how awkwardly Tom ends up stretched out. And Patriot Nation right now is holding its collective breath.
Tom Brady was lost for the entire 2008 season. He had just torn his ACL, and it put the entire Patriots season at risk. However, Matt Cassel was about to become a franchise legend.
Welcome back, Fox 4 everyone. Matt Cassel is the quarterback replacing injured Tom Brady. 39 career passes in 3 seasons, tying the hold. Cassel to the end zone, touchdown! Cassel out of the shotgun. Throwing in the middle, Randy Moss has it. There's no way to stop the clock. There's the snap. Rolls, and he's going to throw long for Randy Moss. He's open, and Randy Moss has a touchdown. Cassel wants it into Moss. Touchdown. 3rd and 3. Cassel looking for Falk in the end zone. He's got it. Touchdown.
Behind an amazing offense and a great head coaching performance by Belichick, Cassel would lead the Patriots to a 5-2 start. During this time, he would throw for a little over 1,300 yards while completing over 65% of his passes. He would throw for 7 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, and his best win came against the New York Jets in Week 2, who were led by future Hall of Famer Brett Favre. And it wasn't like Cassel did not start losing. He would beat the Buffalo Bills 20-10, and he would follow that up with an overtime loss to the New York Jets 34-31, where he played amazing, throwing for 400 yards, and then he would have the best game of his career. Against the Miami Dolphins in a shootout against quarterback Chad Pennington, Cassel would have a rushing touchdown along with throwing for over 415 yards to go along with 3 touchdowns and an interception. Cassel would become just the 5th quarterback in NFL history to have back-to-back 400-yard games. The following week, Cassel would be blown out 33-10 by the Pittsburgh Steelers. However, against the Seattle Seahawks, he would rebound, beating Seattle 24-21 over quarterback Seneca Wallace. All of this leads up to a Week 15 matchup against a very familiar opponent, a quarterback who had taken his job at USC and changed his career forever, quarterback Matt Leinart and the Arizona Cardinals.
Cassel, look right, throws left. 3rd down and 7. Walker, touchdown. Off the play fake. First reception of the day for Randy Moss. The Patriots lead is now 47-0. Bill Belichick shaking hands with Matt Cassel, who was 20 for 36 today.
This win by Matt Cassel led the Patriots to their 4th straight win. Not only that, but it also kept their playoff hopes alive as they remained at 10-5. Patriots going into Week 17 would beat the Buffalo Bills, and Cassel would finish the season pretty well as the team went 11-5. However, they did not make the playoffs due to the fact they missed it on tiebreaker. That season, Cassel did have a career year as he threw for 21 touchdowns to 11 picks, along with 3,600 yards while going 10-5 as the team's official starter. Another factor which led to Matt Cassel's success is while he did have the best coach, he also had 2 great wide receivers, those being Wes Welker and future Hall of Famer Randy Moss. After the 2008 season came to an end, the Patriots began to shop around Matt Cassel to potential suitors. This was due to the fact that his career season allowed the Patriots to try and submit trade offers to different franchises. After a failed trade with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Denver Broncos, which would have sent Cassel to the Broncos and Jay Cutler to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, along with a 2nd-round pick going back to the Patriots, he was eventually traded.
To some, Kansas City got the much better end of the deal. The Chiefs only gave up a 2nd-round draft pick to New England for quarterback Matt Cassel and linebacker Mike Vrabel. Cassel's stock soared after he stepped in very effectively for Tom Brady, who went down with a season-ending knee injury in last season's opener. The career backup threw for 3,693 yards and 21 touchdowns and had New England on the verge of making the playoffs. The Patriots put the franchise tag on Cassel, which would have entitled them to 2 first-round picks if another team signed him. But with Brady coming back, there were other considerations.
The Patriots needed to free up the money that they were spending on Cassel. They could not afford to go into next season spending almost $30 million on 2 quarterbacks. Once they were convinced that Tom Brady will be healthy enough to play and that Cassel could be moved, they needed to get whatever they could for him. A second-round pick at the top of the second round of the draft is not a bad pick to get. The Patriots have a ton of picks in the first and second round now.
So this deal could give New England some flexibility on draft day. Meanwhile, the heat will be on Cassel in Kansas City.
He's only had one pretty good year, and he did it with the Patriots personnel. Now he goes to a team that won 2 games last year and is at the bottom of the league, and he's going to have to prove himself with personnel that's not anywhere near what he's operated with. He also stepped in to a situation in New England where there wasn't a lot of pressure on him because Tom Brady was hurt. Most people then lowered their expectations for the Patriots. The expectations now where he's the guy for, 4 or 5 years in Kansas City, they're going to be a lot higher.
The 34-year-old Vrabel should be a defensive leader for a Chiefs team that had an NFL record-low 10 sacks last season. He's entering the last year of his contract. Jim Militello, The Associated Press.
The Kansas City Chiefs would acquire Matt Cassel for just a second-round pick. Alongside Cassel, they also acquired the previously mentioned Mike Vrabel. As the team's starting quarterback in 2009, Cassel and the Chiefs would finish the year at 4-12. Cassel, as the team starter, would go 4-11 while throwing 16 touchdowns and 16 picks. Cassel's best game that year would come against the Pittsburgh Steelers, the defending Super Bowl champions, with him winning 27-24 in overtime. That game he would throw for 2 touchdowns along with 0 interceptions in the victory. Going into 2010, Matt Cassel knew he needed to perform up to standards of that of a starting quarterback in order to keep his job, and Matt Cassel would do just that.
It's slow, but he's now throwing well. Play fake. Cassel up deep. Goes short of a cluster. Steps away. Heading for the end zone. Touchdown. Deflector. Cassel throwing. Downfield. Touchdown. 3rd and 5. Cassel gets time. Throws to the end zone. Cassel wants to go deep. Oh, he's got it. Ball's still on his feet. Touchdown. Cassel.
Down to 8:35 to play in this first half. Cassel now will dial up the deep ball. Called in. 2-minute warning here in St. Louis. Kansas City is in control. The Kansas City Chiefs will improve to 9-5 and maintain a 1-game lead in the AFC West.
The 2010 Chiefs and Matt Cassel had a pretty solid campaign. They would start out 9-4, with Cassel being more of a game manager. Cassel would regularly hand the ball off to Pro Bowl running back Jamal Charles, who was one of the best running backs in Chiefs history. Cassel that year would throw for 2,600 yards, 24 touchdowns, to 5 picks throughout the first 15 weeks. Against the Titans in Week 16, Matt Cassel and the Chiefs would blow out the Titans 34-14. Cassel that game would play one of his most effective games of the season, throwing for 314 yards along with 3 touchdowns. By the time the clock hit 0, Cassel had finished one of the most effective games of his career. It was also a career high, as it was his first ever playoff appearance in his NFL career. While on the field, everyone was celebrating. Off the field, head coach Todd Haley and Matt Cassel's relationship was pretty shattered. In a later interview in a podcast and later down the line, Matt Cassel would reveal that during the game, while he was benched for Brody Croyle, it was because of his head coach Todd Haley benching him for an argument. After everything was said and done between Todd Haley and Matt Cassel, the two had combined for a 10-6 record, an AFC West title, and Matt Cassel would make the Pro Bowl. He finished the season with 3,000 yards along with 27 touchdowns and 7 picks. He was a Pro Bowl alternate in exchange for quarterback Tom Brady. Against an amazing Ravens defense on Wildcard Weekend, Cassel completely struggled in his playoff debut. He would complete 50% of his passes for 70 yards to go along with 3 picks, and the Chiefs would lose the game 30-7. After the 2010 season came to an end, a lot of people were expecting Matt Cassel to bid off his success in the 2010 season. However, Cassel never really regained that 2010 form, and he would be out of Kansas City after the 2012 season came to an end. Before we completely move on, we have to talk about the 2011 season home opener for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs that game would face the Buffalo Bills, and like Matt Cassel, you had another young quarterback who was drafted in the 7th round of the 2005 draft. And like Matt Cassel, he would go on to have a long journeyman career. The quarterback in question is current NFL analyst and former journeyman quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick had an NFL career which stretched all the way from 2005, the same year Cassel was drafted, all the way until 2021. Against the Chiefs in the 2011 opener, as previously mentioned, Ryan Fitzpatrick would put on the Fitzmagic persona, and he would throw for 4 touchdowns in a 41-7 blowout victory over the Chiefs. Similar to Fitzpatrick, Cassel had a longevity in the NFL. He outlasted multiple first-round picks as he was in the league from 2005 all the way until 2018. And as you can see above by the list, he outlasted 12 first-round picks between 2005 and all the way until 2018. Back to the story, however, Matt Cassel would sign with the Minnesota Vikings on a 2-year contract during the 2013 offseason. He was there to back up quarterback Christian Ponder, who ironically enough was on the previously mentioned list. The reason for the Vikings signing Cassel was to upgrade the quarterback position. In 2012, they were forced to start quarterback Joe Webb in the wildcard round after Christian Ponder had suffered an injury. Going into the season, Matt Cassel was the backup to quarterback Christian Ponder, but despite that, Cassel was going to get another chance. Similar to Brady, Christian Ponder would go down with an injury, and Matt Cassel would shine throughout the 2013 season. Late in the year against the Philadelphia Eagles, Cassel and the Vikings would have a shootout with future Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles. The Vikings would win the game 48-30 in order to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. And later in the year, Cassel would upset the Detroit Lions, who had a chance to clinch the division in the final week of the season. After a solid 2013 season, Matt Cassel would receive a 2-year contract extension worth $10 million. And he would spend the offseason mentoring quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. The Vikings had selected Bridgewater with the 32nd pick in the 2014 NFL Draft. Cassel would beat out both Teddy Bridgewater and Christian Ponder for the starting quarterback job going into 2014. However, a foot injury would cause Cassel to miss most of the season, and Bridgewater would become the Vikings starter. After the 2014 season came to an end, Matt Cassel would sign with the Buffalo Bills on a 1-year contract, and almost instantly he would enter a QB battle alongside E.J. Manuel and quarterback Tyrod Taylor. After the 3 QBs battled it out in the preseason, Matt Cassel would earn the backup quarterback job behind journeyman Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor would become the Bills' starting quarterback and actually had pretty solid success. He would be a Pro Bowler in 2015 and would actually lead the Bills to the playoffs in 2017. In the middle of the season, the Dallas Cowboys would send a 5th-round pick to the Buffalo Bills in exchange for Matt Cassel. The reason the Cowboys had traded for Cassel was starting quarterback Tony Romo had suffered an injury, and Cassel would start a handful of games for the Cowboys. During that time, he would throw for 5 touchdowns and 7 picks, while becoming the team's starting quarterback and going 1-6 as the team's starter. After being released in the 2016 offseason by the Dallas Cowboys, Cassel would sign a 2-year contract with the Tennessee Titans to be the backup quarterback to Marcus Mariota. Before we continue, I also have to mention, Matt Cassel had been the backup quarterback to 5 different Heisman Trophy candidates over his entire career. Cassel in 2016 would see sparing time as the team's backup quarterback. He would upset the Houston Texans in the final week of the season to secure the Titans their first winning season since 2011, but Cassel would mostly be the backup throughout his next 2 years in the NFL. After spending 2 years in Tennessee mentoring Marcus Mariota, he would spend 1 more season with the Detroit Lions in the 2018 season before calling it an NFL career. Despite being seen as a 1-year wonder by most of the NFL media, Matt Cassel was only a 7th-round pick who wasn't expected to do this much. He wasn't expected to take over for Tom Brady in 2008. He wasn't expected to potentially be the franchise face for the Kansas City Chiefs. He wasn't expected to have a journeyman career which lasted 15 years in the NFL. What I'm trying to get at is no one expected Matt Cassel to even have an NFL career. He threw just 33 passes at USC, and what everyone saw as someone who was going to be either undrafted and not even have a chance at the NFL, Bill Belichick took a shot on him in the 7th round. It is extremely rare to see an NFL quarterback drafted in the 7th round take snaps in the regular season that are either meaningful or even a snap at all. It is even more rare to see one start in a playoff game. Only a select few in the NFL who were 7th round pick quarterbacks have had chances at long-term careers. And that's where this video ends. I would like to say thank you all for watching this video. I have noticed we've been gaining a lot of subscribers, and I want to say thank you so much for getting us to 500 subscribers. When I saw we had reached 500, it was probably one of the biggest milestones I was not expecting to hit this early. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has stuck around and watched my videos, and I hope as time goes on, you will continue to stick around and enjoy the videos and content I have planned. Once again, like I end all my previous videos, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all stay cool.